swear I do not believe it! And they are back on terms!
Hello and welcome again to New York Talk. We have another game where Rotherham have won. It's getting boring talking about all these wins, isn't it? You know what I mean? Every time we come in here, and we won, obviously. So we'll have to cover. And we're going to look ahead to Saturday, which will hopefully bring another win. We have Mick and Danny with us again. Thank you for joining us, boys. As always.
Hello, everybody.
How are we all doing? Are we excited for Christmas? Danny, is the excitement built in for Christmas yet? Or are you still not there yet?
It's getting there. I mean, I've just put the tree up before coming on here, but in our house, we don't really like to flash about with Christmas, you know, with the big tree and sparkles everywhere. So it's just like a tree that's about this big, with a few decorations on it, and it lights up. So it's like, yeah, that'll do. That's Christmas. I'm more excited about Boxing Day, to be honest.
Correct.
That sounds really bad, but for me, it's my first away Boxing Day fixture. It's Accrington, so it's nice and close by on the terraces. You know, it's gonna be freezing cold, but I'm more excited about that, to be honest.
Boxing Day games are great, absolutely great. The last one we went to was that Shrewsbury game, last Boxing Day, making that were special.
It was, yeah, absolutely. I've got my tree up in loft.
And you didn't put it up, did you?
In loft.
Oh yeah.
It'll stay there as long as I can let it.
How boring, Michael.
I am, yeah, absolutely.
So, as we mentioned at the start, it's a 5-1 victory for Rotherham on Tuesday night. It was a very strange feeling coming out of the game, Danny. I don't know about you, and me and Mick was certainly, we won 5-1, but in terms of the performance, there was quite a lot to be disappointed about. It wasn't a 5-star performance, was it, at all for me?
No, I agree. Actually, I think the first half an hour really summed up our last 3 or 4 games. We looked a little bit on the ropes, you know. But I think as soon as Freddie scored his goal, and let's not beat around the bush, it were a scrappy goal, wasn't it? It's probably the scrappiest goal we've scored this season so
Scrappy's
far.
probably overselling it a bit, to be honest.
Yeah, because it's like Smith's shot, it's rebounded off the keeper, then off their player, and it's sort of come off Freddie's knee or something. Like he hasn't shot, basically, it's just cannoned off him and it's gone in. But I think because we showed the patience but resilience to get back in the game, it sort of gave Reds a wobble, and it's like, right, we can go on and win these. But yeah, I think the first half an hour is like an encapsulation of the Oxford game, the Port Vale game, and the Stockport game, just put into the first bit of the half, where we've looked not at our best, but we've still managed to come through it. And yeah, I think that's the Gillingham game, but we've shown how good we are, even without Michael Smith scoring, by pumping 5 past him. All right. Yeah. It was helped by a red card, which I'll get onto in a bit. But yeah, it wasn't 5-star, but it was a typical Rotherham. We weren't at our best, but we've still somehow battered him, you know.
Yeah. It's a sign of, let's just say it, that's what champions do. They don't play very well, Mick, but then they go ahead and win comfortably. Now, I'm not sitting here saying we're going to win the championship like they are on Quest, but this is what these teams do. Man U of old, Arsenal of old, City at times, Liverpool. They play badly and then still win by 3 goals on this occasion Tuesday. And we've also ticked off a sort of a little bit of a thing. We came from behind and won. I know it was only 1-0 and I know Gillingham's head dropped, but to come from behind is a habit and you've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, it is. It's a weird one. Isn't it a weird one with, you know, I see people talking on social media, you know, some people of the view like us that you come away from the ground. And I had this conversation at work with people saying, oh, did you enjoy the game? It must have been a great game, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I feel a little bit cocky. I feel a little bit like, I feel a little bit like a Man U fan because I'm saying, well, yeah, we're all right. And we're all right. Yeah. But I don't know whether we've just set the bar so high in terms of performances that we can go and win 5-1 and come away, not disappointed, obviously. Disappointed is not the right word. It's far too strong. It just, I don't know. just a bit underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and it's bizarre, and it's a fantastic position to be in, isn't it? Let's be fair. You know what I mean?
like imagine coming away from a 5-1 win and going, yeah, we're all right, wasn't it?
Yeah, we're all right. But that, I mean, I'll be honest with you. That's genuinely how I felt. Yeah, we're all right.
Yeah. You have to sort of check yourself and it's complain about things and go, hang on, we've just won 5-1. Just come on.
Pull yourself together.
Yeah. So let's go back to the start of the game. 5 minutes in. There's 2 or 3 mistakes in the goal. Then let's get the negatives out of the way. The pass from Freddie was poor, which scuppered Mikael Miller because we had the ball, he was so far forward, he was then out of position. Dan Barlays has not tracked his man, and Wes Hardy's probably not done as well as he possibly can do. I mean, it was a bit of a calamity of errors. Yeah, fine, good goal, but it was entirely stoppable from our point of view.
Yeah, I think the issue for us, we're probably still settling into the game. Like, obviously, Gillingham, one of them teams where you knew they were going to sit back on the ball, a bit like Wickham did, which is why I put the poll up on Twitter. So thank you to everyone who voted. But obviously we've just made a mistake, it's still a mistake, and Wickham have pounced on it, and we just haven't really recovered in time. Like I say, Miller out of position because he thought the attack were on, probably because we nearly scored like 3 minutes before. So probably thinking here we can get an early goal here. But yeah, like they said on Quest as well, it was just a bit of a calamity. Like, it wasn't really one big issue that caused a goal. It was like just the little ones that added up. And then obviously Gillingham scored. I think it's their first goal in 5 games as well. So I mean, all right, fair play. You've broken the duck of not scoring, but could you have waited until the 16th minute? So we could have carried on that one record we were clinging on to, not conceding in the first 15 minutes, and it's and it's out the window. Of course it is. But yeah,
it's good to get those things off his back there a little bit, because you get them hanging over a little bit. But I suppose every record we can keep, we'll keep.
Yeah.
A couple of comments. We've got Lee McGarry up the Millers. Ian Bradley's with us. Good evening. So let's talk about the after the goal, Mick. It then became that there were times it looked really panicky. There were times I was watching it thinking, this looks like we're 1-0 down with 20 minutes left. They were trying to rush, and there was an injury to their player. Did he do his shoulder?
Yeah.
That changed it for us, because as soon as that break happened, Paul Warnes clearly pulled them in and just sort of must have calmed them down, because after that there was much more patience. There was much more taking their time in the build-up. But again, that's a bit of a concern that we've gone 1-0 behind and instantly we're panicking. But it's good that one is able to change it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, we've not been great up to the point of them scoring. I know it's only 5 minutes, but that pass from Freddie wasn't the first one that had been short or long. And while some people might get on Freddie's back as a result of that one, there were plenty more that could have led to a similar situation. And to be fair, and that first few minutes, Rathbone was probably the biggest culprit of that. But yeah, it was a bit strange. But I'm permanently looking for signs that this 19-game unbeaten run is starting to have an effect on team, and I don't know whether that is a thing or not. I'm sure the club won't allow that, but just feels like it. It was panicky. You're right, and that injury to their player for us came at the right time, just to calm the nerves a little bit and just get back to doing what we do well, and we did after that.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And then came the goal. Danny, you sort of mentioned it. I feel sorry for Gillingham because of the injury crisis they're having. I feel sorry for their fans, that trip they've made. But that, again, something else that changed the game. As soon as that goal went in, their heads went straight down. And it was a mistake. I know Freddie's done what a good striker does. He's there. He's on the spot. But it came from a goalkeeping mistake and a defensive mistake. And they can't be doing that. If they want to stay up, they've got to cut that out.
Yeah, I think so. I think it was probably down to Aaron Chapman being a Miller as well. Born and raised in Rotherham, I saw a few tweets saying that someone played with him at Phoenix back in the day as well. Sorry, just a strange car going past my window. Sorry if you heard a strange horn going past. But yeah, like you say, it was like our goal. To be honest, it was a collection of errors that overall led to a goal. But theirs was just more condensed into like that little pocket of space outside their penalty area, whereas ours it was just in our half. But I mean, yeah, like I said before, Freddie didn't really shoot. It just sort of came off him and went all the way in. And I said on the vlog, they all count. It don't matter how they go in, they all count. But like you said, when we equalised, their heads went down, and it was effectively one-way traffic for the rest of the game. Because I think Gillingham had one shot at goal all game, which was their goal, and I think we had 28.
Well, Philip Rollinson says we had 29 shots to 1.
29.
Scored 5, missed a penalty, and we think we could have been better. Are we getting massive?
Not massive, Phil, just mighty.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You got to sit back and enjoy it, I suppose. It's difficult.
Yeah, you're going to really struggle to enjoy that first goal. Let's be fair. I mean, it was great to see it trickling into the back of net. Funny. That were enjoyable, but the rest of it was just dire, weren't it?
It was, yeah. It was schoolboy stuff a little bit.
Yeah.
And then came the second goal just before half time. Ian Bradley says he didn't see any deflection on the Miller volley. I hope it isn't taken off him. At the time, I thought there was, but it's clearly just moved. It must have moved in the air a bit. And it's left him with no chance. Miller, again, had a very good game. He's getting more and more involved in every single game. We've said this on feels like 5 podcasts now. I'm more and more impressed with him every week. I added a goal now as well.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was a great strike. A really, really good strike. Goalkeeper was completely unsighted. He got about 15 players in front of him. So you can't blame the keeper for that.
He was also at fault for that. Well, he wasn't at fault for that, but he was at fault because when the cross came in and Icky knocked it back across, Icky were almost still on goalkeeper's toes. I don't understand why the keeper didn't come for that. I'm not going to criticise him for the shot. I'm not a fan of criticising a Rotherham fan on the show, a Rotherham lad from the show. But for me, keeper's got to do better there. Keeper's got to come and get that. And he's massive. Yeah. He's a giant. I don't get why he didn't come for that. But,
it's about confidence, isn't it? That's all about confidence. As a goalkeeper, coming for the ball, coming for crosses, it's just purely confidence. But yeah, I thought it was a great finish. I thought it was a really good finish. He struck it really well, really great technique, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't see any deflection, but then I wear glasses and I don't wear them while I'm watching match. So who knows? It could have hit all 15 players on the way through for me. I still wouldn't know.
Yeah. And it couldn't be 45 minutes of football without either Steve Evans or Paul Rayner getting a booking. This time it went to Paul Rayner. It's just how it works, Danny, isn't it? It's just that's one of the laws of football. They must get a booking on a game.
Yeah, the people who sat next to me, they pointed it out to me, Rayner being booked. It was so funny because you could see them both mouthing off at fourth official. And fourth official was just like deadpan calm. Just puts his fingers to his ears. And the referee comes over and books one of him. So, but like you said, they seem like a very. I don't want to call it anger, but I don't want to call it passion. It's like somewhere between the two.
It's anger. It's just anger, mate. Come on, get off the fence.
All right, he's leaning towards anger. But yeah, it is a cliche with Steve Evans that there is at least one game every month that he probably gets sent off or booked in, where he's mouthing off at somebody. And it was strange because I know it's later in the game, but in the second half, you could hear him mouthing off at the referee, and there were 8,000 people all making some sort of noise, but the only voice I could hear was Steve Evans, who were at least 40 yards away from where I was sat. So I mean, he's got a set of pipes on him. I'll give him that, but it's just a shame he doesn't direct it more towards his players. It's more always towards fourth official. Poor fourth official. Whoever's got the nod to be the fourth official for a game, it's like, oh, it's Steve Evans. They must like wear earplugs or something. I don't know. But yeah, just going back to Miller's goal. Where I'm sat in the north stand, it was more or less bagging line from where he struck it from. Obviously, it's all end of the pitch. But honestly, I don't know how it's gone in. The way he's sort of like wound himself up to strike it, it looked like he was going to balloon it into effectively Velvet Stadium. But he struck it, and it's so, like you say, it might have took a deflection, but he might have just manoeuvred so much in the air, and we didn't know it we didn't know it had gone in until we saw net ripple. And I says, how's it gone in? You know, it's like, was it one of them weird phantom goals where it's like sort of gone in through side netting or something? But now we watch the replay and it's a terrific strike, you know. So that's all I can say. Fair play.
I've not seen the replay of it, but it did seem to really wrap his foot around it as well. So he's obviously got some spin on it or some curl on it or whatever. And good finish, good technique, good player.
Yeah, it's almost like he's winds himself up like a spring and then just hits it. So if he can do that more or less every week, you know, keep going, Miller.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Word on the ref, Mick. I think we should praise referees when they do well. And for me, I thought the referee had a decent game. I thought both were penalties. The red card he gave was technically correct, although I probably would have liked him to put a bit of pity on them, bearing in mind the situation they were in. He booked them quite early for the time wasting. I thought it's not often we say this, but I can't remember criticizing the referee other than the odd foul, which you're going to get because they see the game different to us. Yeah, but I think praise where praise you. I thought the referee had a decent game.
We've had a lot worse at a much higher level, you know. So yeah, I mean, there were a couple of times when you just thought, well, I didn't even see anything there. But other than that, yeah, I thought it was pretty consistent. It wasn't pretty consistent. It was consistent, and that's all you ask of referees: just be consistent.
We'll talk about the fifth goal more in a minute, but great advantage for the fifth goal as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the second goal. The third goal is the penalty, which I have to remind myself which one that was when Icky got pulled down in the area. Nailed on, Danny. Really silly defending. No complaints.
Yeah, no, he's definitely dragged him down, and all I can say is fair play to the referee for seeing it. You know, because some referees would just be watching the flight of the ball and anyone who's congregated around the keeper. But no, he's seen it and he's given it, and yeah, fair play on that one. You don't really get referees at this level watching the whole box, like I say, just focusing on one thing. It's normally something that gets reviewed by VAR and then given afterwards. But yeah, Stonewall penalty. I mean, some people might argue Wiki went down a bit easy, but if you're 2-1 up and you're wanting to cement a lead, you're going to go down in that situation, really, aren't you?
Yeah.
And then the Barley's penalty is a terrific strike. You know, the force is hit it. I thought it would have come through the goal and hit me. But no, great penalty from Barley's, nailed on. And yeah, I think it was 3 rights and which made a goal, in my opinion.
Yeah. It were only going one way, they won it. That's the only way Dan Barley's knows how to take a penalty. It's straight down the middle. As hard as you can, straight down the middle. And if you've got technique to do it, then why would you change it? I said that, Mick.
Yeah.
The keeper knew on the second one. The keeper knew exactly what were happening. But at the same time, he knew what were happening. If that's hit an inch lower, it goes in because keeper couldn't react quick enough to get his hands up there. Unless he started with his hands up, he would never have been able to stop it anyway. So he's a bit unlucky, I suppose.
He's got a target, hasn't he? It's a penalty.
Yeah.
You know, he got to hit the target, and he's just put too much power behind it. I suspect from looking at the goalkeeper and the way the goalkeeper dealt with that penalty, for want of a better term, he knew exactly where it were going. He knew it were going straight at him. And yeah, you're right. He probably wouldn't have stopped it anyway because of the power on it. But yeah, he's got to hit target, mate. So that let's work on the basis that we are up here, and that. And be harsh with them that, you know, it's a poor penalty because it's not hit target.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm being harsh, aren't I? Because, you know, but let's drive them standards up. Let's us have standards as supporters as well now. That's what am I talking about? Mute me now.
Yeah, I sort of get what you're saying, I think. Yeah, it ended up being a red card, Danny, a second yellow. It's one of those that is he's got to do it. A referee, by the letter of the law, it's 100% the right decision to send him off, unfortunately for the defender, because how else are you going to stop Chio than fouling him? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I saw a stat on Twitter before coming on. Can you tell I get all my news from Twitter? Just saying. But yeah, every single red card that has gone against the team playing against Rotherham have all been fouls on Chio. You know, you've got McGeady, you've got the fella for Stockport, and all right, this one was a second yellow and he's been sent off for it. But it just goes to show that time wasting does not improve or help your own team out. Because if you'll get booked for time wasting, what was it, like 31st minute? He's been booked for that, and then he's done that silly foul on Chio. If he'd not been booked for time wasting, it's just a yellow, and it'd have been 11v11 for the rest of the game. But Karma's come round and bit him, and we've got another penalty after it. Like, I agree with Mick, it is a poor penalty because he's not hit the frame, he's not hit the target. But the ferocity he's hit that ball. I think there's still a dent in the crossbar. I think Tony might have to fork out for a new set of goalposts because one's got a big dent in it, or at least a new paint job on it. But this comes back to something I've always said: if you get 2 penalties in a game, which is rare in itself, you know, do you stick or twist with your penalty taker? Like, all right, Barley's has got an absolute furious right foot when it comes to taking penalties, but if you get a second one, the keeper knows what your technique is. You know, so do you then switch to, say, Smith, or if Sadly is on the pitch, you know, just to shake it up, and it's like a different option. But obviously we stuck with Barlaser, and I think, like you say, if it didn't just smack the middle of the crossbar, it's in. You know, if it just clips the crossbar, it goes in, because Chapman's beaten. He's in the right position, but he's beaten just from speed at ball. But yeah, going back to Chio's foul, it was a foul, but it was very delayed, wasn't it? I think there's some sort of conversation with Chio, like, if you feel contact in the box, go down. Don't try and dig out a cross or anything. You know, because that's Chio's game. He just keeps going to try and make a chance for the rest of the team. But sometimes the better chance is, if you feel contact, get a penalty out of it. Granted, it's a lottery with some referees, but there is contact in the box, so a good winger goes down. You know, felt the contact and carries on. But I think it is something that Chio still needs to learn, which might be another reason why he's still with us and not in the Premier League side.
He certainly is learning it.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
there was a time in the second half where there was a foul out wide, where he threw his legs into the opposition player and got down with a foul. So he's clearly learning how to win a foul. Which I'm sure Mick won't like that, but it is part and parcel of football, unfortunately.
I'm not a fan at all. I think, to be fair, I think it was a penalty. I think he did. I think he did pull him back. So I've no qualms about that. But I've got lots of qualms about feeling contact and throwing yourself on the floor. I think it's cheating, personally. But you know,
you can definitely tell some players are more theatric than others.
Yeah,
you know, some try and focus on, referees really hurt me side of it. But with Chio, because he's so fast, it don't have to be a lot of contact.
No, absolutely,
and it still put him off his balance, if you like. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people disagree with this, but if you're off balance and you take a cross, it won't be a good cross. But if you're off balance and you felt contact in the box, might be a better chance for the penalty. You know, But then again, you're leaving it to the referee's decision, and it's a complex sport. We're not experts here. We're just ranting on about football for an hour.
So there you go, the penalty. That was a miss, but then 10 minutes later, whatever it was, probably longer than that, JJ came on and once again showed his selflessness, Mick, by just carrying the ball on, not having the shot, not just carrying it on. And Barlaser with a much more controlled shot. It could have had about 5 goals, Barlaser, to be honest with you. I thought he had a really, really good game from attacking wise. He is almost a different player to 2 years ago. Let's talk about League One. He's so much more attacking than we let him be a couple of years ago. He's got much more to his game now.
Not only is he so much more attacking, this is going to sound ridiculous, he's so much more defensive as well. You know, it's just more physical. Everything about him has stepped up a level. You know, he's maintained that ability to just pick out a pass from nowhere, from 70 yards up to 70 yards away. But his defensive duty, he's working defensively and as you quite rightly point out there, attacking wise is as good as any of the midfielders in there. So it's almost a complete package. You know what I mean? He's far too good to be playing in League One. There's no question about that. No question in my view. So yeah, but it was good, and he deserved his second goal, and I think he'll be one of the few players that walked off that pitch disappointed that he didn't get he didn't walk off with match ball in his hand.
Well, yeah, a player like that you don't expect to get many opportunities.
No, absolutely.
To get a hat-trick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go through some comments. So what we've got loads. Thank you all for getting involved. Nardney. Do you think we'll go the rest of the season without losing a game? I love your positivity. We are definitely going to lose at some point. I like that. We were talking about Freddie earlier. Liam McGarry says Freddie's work rate this season has been much better, and it's showing his performances. He's got rewarded almost in a way. That goal is a reward for chasing it down. If Freddie's not chasing it down, it's not there. So yeah, I agree, Liam. Ian Bradley, Chapman's obviously lost his confidence. The Gillingham keeper, not being played regularly because apparently he was superb in Accrington's League 2 promotion season. He's been around a bit, hasn't he, Chapman? Nandi again, according to the guy on Quest, we are going to win the league by 10 points. Yeah, I mean, I'd take it. There's too many other good teams in this league. There's not many, but there are some. Wigan don't know how to not win at the minute. You just fight until the last second. Sunderland look okay. They're up there with us. Wickham won again on Tuesday night. It's a tough league, Danny. There's some good teams up there. The top four might get cut adrift, but I think between those four, it could be really tight.
Yeah, I mean, we said at the start of the season, League One looks really tough this year, and it is. I think a few teams that people thought would be up there have not really performed where they want to be, like Ipswich and even Sheff Wednesday to a point. You know, even though they're 11 games unbeaten, they've not won the majority of them.
Draws, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, it's still picking up points, but a lot of draws, like they just drawn Portsmouth, not to brag, we battered them 4-1. Same with Sunderland, they're now back in the mix, but we've battered them 5-1. The only teams that we haven't really battered are Wigan and Wickham, both of which, one was a draw, one should have been a draw.
Yeah.
If Wigan's bloody 95th minute strike didn't go in. But yeah, the guy, I sort of heard the comment from the guy on Quest, it's like, really, this early in the season, you're making that sort of prediction? And he's going to get rinsed if we don't win by 10 points, isn't he? You know, even if it's 9, he'd still get rinsed for it, wouldn't he?
As a pundit, it's easy to make those sort of outlandish claims at this point of the season, isn't it? You know, and when you look at our stats, the stats back that sort of comment up from somebody who's probably not that au fait with what happens in League One and how good all the other teams are in there. So. Whatever. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it every day of the week. Listen, I'll take winning league by a point, by a goal or goal difference. That's what I'll take it. You know what I mean? It matters not, does it, whether it's 20 points or 1 point. But it's too early to be talking about stuff like that. Seriously talking about stuff like that.
Yeah. This is the dreaming part of the season, but in reality, it's like anything could happen. Yeah, I mean, we could go on a 5-game losing run. I can't really see it happening.
Listen, mate, we haven't hit 50 points yet.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We're nearly there, but not yet.
Let's get safe first.
Yeah.
We're taking all the expected goals boxes. There were that stat that went around a few weeks with the graph of expected goals expected against, and we are by far and away the best attacking team and by far and away the best defensive team, comfortably. It's not even close. Over the length of a season, they do even out, and that's why we are where we are. Again, we didn't like conceding other than one time on Tuesday. Yeah, why not? It's exciting.
That's football, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
you can be best team in league and still lose to bottom place team if you're not on your A game.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why we're not comment with tongue in cheek, but we're definitely going to lose at some point.
Yeah.
And that's the next challenge. What happens when we lose? Are we going to fold for 2 or 3 games, like you mentioned, or we're going to come again. I suspect it's the latter, but we'll see. It's a really exciting time to be a Rotherham fan. It's one of the most exciting times we've ever had. Fifth goal. Went talk about fifth goal yet? Who scored fifth goal? Chio. Goal at game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good job he did that, Danny, because he could not cross the ball to save his life on Tuesday.
Yeah, I think his goal was secretly a cross, but he's not that on yet. But yeah, the one thing that's annoying me about that goal is I didn't get it on camera, and I was in the perfect position to get it. So thank you to IUFC Tiny for giving me the footage for that goal. But it's a terrific strike again, isn't it? I mean, the goal he scored against Wimbledon a couple seasons ago was a good strike, but it was a lot closer in, and you could say it was a more scoreable. But with this one, it's one of them goals that are like on a satisfying compilation of goals. You know, he's weaved through a couple of players. Yeah, he's struck it from outside the area. It's just kissed the bar on its way in. It's one of them satisfying goals that should be in a compilation somewhere. You see them beautiful goals compilations on YouTube and stuff that like half an hour long. Get Chio's goal in there, because it should be. And I think it tops the 2 goals he scored for Ireland because, granted, they were good goals, like his header and his strike, but this one just text biscuit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's the top of his highlight reel now.
That could end up being the best goal of his career. That's how good a strike it was. And Femick has been teasing that for a while. He's been trying to come onto his left foot all season, and there's been a couple that have been close, and finally has nailed one. If you're going to nail what I suppose that 4-1 pressure's off in it, that helps, I suppose. But take nothing away from the guy. We love him. I told my daughter about the goals that we scored. Actually asking who scored. I said Chio scored. Chio's the boss of football. Chio is the boss of football.
No, I mean, there's not a lot to add to it, is there? Really, we love him. We absolutely love him, and it's not just that he can pull that hat, because that is an absolute screamer, and it is a screamer. It's a good build-up, good work from Shane Ferguson, great work, like you said, from JJ as well. I'm talking about wrong one now. I'm talking about Barley's goal, aren't I? I'm old. I'm stupid. I'm not very intelligent. You know what I mean? But anyway, either way, it was a great goal, great strike. And like you said, that little underside bar thing just sort of adds that little bit of a cherry on top of it, doesn't it? You know what I mean? It just makes it look even more spectacular. But yeah, I love him to bits, man. And he's just so happy. You know what I mean? He's quite so clearly enjoying his football and enjoying his time at our club, which you can't ask for anymore, really.
No. And to be fair,
I know a great ball from JJ. Sorry.
To be fair to me, I know he's missed a lot of crosses, not putting him in the box, but nobody else is getting those positions. And we said Miller's had a good game, and he did have a good game. He didn't get in half the positions that Chio did to get the ball actually in the box.
No.
So you've got to give hats off to Chio for putting himself into those positions anyway. The crossing's going to come. It's going to come at some point. It's got to, hasn't it?
Because of the way Chio plays, it gets in those positions so many times that the fact at the moment that his crossing or his final ball is not as good as it could be, that kind of mitigates it a little bit. You know what I mean? Because he gets there so many times that sooner or later one's gonna work out. Miller doesn't quite get in so many as good a position so often, but when he puts the ball in, it's in. You know what I mean?
I think as well with Chio, because he's so quick on his right-hand side that whenever he tries to run at a left-back once, they might... I mean, like they keep saying on Twitter, a lot of left-backs will be terrified of Chio. Yeah. Just from how quick he is and how tricky he is. So either he's going to win a free kick, he's going to win a penalty, he's going to get one of them booked, which puts doubt in the mind about making tackles. He's going to draw another man out to try and deal with him, which creates space in the middle. So even though Chio's crossing isn't the best. I mean, we're not going to beat around the bush. It's not the best. If it was amazing at crossing, it wouldn't be here, would it? Yeah. But it's the fact that he's got those other 4 elements to his game, even when he's just on the right-hand side, just with the ball. He don't have to cross the ball or anything. He's still got 4 attributes that create space elsewhere or create chances through different means, that's why he's one of our most valuable players. You know, because if he could if he could hit the ball like Balazer could, but as a winger, you know, Michael Smith would score every game, or Freddie would score every game. But because he's got that different element, that's why we aren't just a one-route team, you know, out wide ball in goal. We have different elements to a game, and I think it is more or less level pegging between into the mix of goals and into the middle sort of goals. Some of which have been created by Chio. So I think that's why he's such a prized asset. And I also think the street in Dublin where his family live will all be Rotherham fans by the end of the season. You know, because I'm sure his mum is over the moon now that he's scored this season. So there must be some sort of street party in Dublin for Chio now.
There's more Irish people going, I can't believe he only plays for Rotherham.
Yeah, it's like, excuse me.
That's the 5th goal. Ian Bradley asks, sadly not in the squad on Tuesday. There was no injuries. Paul wants not mentioning any injuries. So sadly, again, not getting in the squad by choice, Mick. It's a concern. It's not for us because we're fine. We're getting on without him. But from a mutual point of view, it's not a good thing that he can't get in the squad.
Look, let's not beat around bush. I don't think he fits. I think that's the bottom line. I don't think what he brings to the team, I don't think he brings enough to the team in the formation that we play. That's not a criticism of Kieran Sadlier in any way, shape or form. He is not a bad player. I'm not suggesting for 1 second that he is. I just don't think he fits. I think there are far better players ahead of him that fit the system that we play. And I just think, I suspect he may well leave us in January. I just don't think he's in Warney's plans. And to be honest with you, we've talked about this, Matt, outside the podcast. You know, where would you put him to improve the team? And wherever you put him, he doesn't improve it. And it's just, it is what it is, isn't it? You know, it's sad, but that's just how it is. So he's an asset. I don't know whether his contract runs out in summer or not. Either way, I suspect that January might see him leaving, which is not great, you know. But it is what it is, isn't it? Like I said. So
yeah, it gives us a chance to refresh. We don't necessarily need to, Danny, but if you're going to get rid of somebody, it means you can bring somebody else in just to give a bit of impetus, a bit of freshness. Because it has gone a bit, unfortunately for Sadlier, it's gone a bit stale with the options that we've got. Like Mick said, they don't really fit unfortunately for him.
Yeah, and like I say, it's very unfortunate for him because on his day he's a very good player. I think he sort of suits more of a 4, even a 5 in midfield. You know, as a cam, and like Warney's admitted, his preference isn't on the right side. It's more of a cam, like I say. So I think that's why he gets to play in that position more in cup games, you know, so still gets to utilise that ability. But yeah, like I say, I think out of the whole squad, I mean, we've said that it takes silly money for Smith to go, silly money for Chio to go. But we're not talking like just £1.5 million. I mean, like promotion, reward,
6-7 million money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But out of everybody, like you say, the one person I could see leaving is unfortunately Sadlier. Probably not like just out the door sort of thing. Like maybe out on loan to free up a wage potentially, and then bring in more of a winger, an out and out winger back up for Chio just in case. Yeah,
our backup for Chio at the minute is Wes Harding, which is fine and good because Harding can do that, but there's no attacking option really, is there?
Yeah. I mean, if it were me personally, right, I'd loan him back out to Doncaster because obviously Doncaster are struggling. So if you send him back a player who has already done well for him, you know, that could benefit another local side because even though there are closest rivals this season, if you like, it would be nice to help them out just a little bit, you know, because it's never nice to see a club do that poorly, you know.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe it's me being soft and not having as much of a fierce rivalry, you know, but you know, it maybe just loan him out so he stays local, so don't have to move, but still gets to play regular football.
What I will say, Danny, is if that was Sheffield Wednesday in that position, how much funnier would that be?
Yeah, okay, I agree with that. But that's because Sheffield Wednesday are quite arrogant with their position.
Correct.
But with Doncaster, they are sort of more inclined to our position. I think that's why it's slightly less funny. We'll say funny. It's slightly less funny to see Doncaster in that position because they are a team like us and they've worked hard to get there. But if it was Sheffield Wednesday in that position, it'd be comical.
It's like that with Donny because they're not massive, are they?
Yeah,
that's why.
True. I think we've just about covered the game. Is there anything else you want to cover from the game? We've got loads of other points that we're going to try and cover in the next 20 minutes or so. Anything else from the game, Mick, Danny?
Yeah.
No.
Cool.
Felt a bit for Victor. Sorry, I felt a bit for Victor in that second half. Must have been freezing.
Getting cold.
Yeah. It must have been absolutely freezing, lad.
Do you know what I noticed today watching your video? When we score, it runs at you and celebrates towards you. It doesn't go to the side at goal. It goes straight where you are. He knows where the camera is.
Honestly, as soon as I get one of them woolly Viking hats, me and Victor are going to be like hugging whenever we score. It'll be hilarious. Yeah. But no, he knows how to make him. I reckon he watches the videos, mate. I reckon he secretly watches them.
Well, we have got listeners in for the podcast in Sweden, which could be his dad. So if Victor's dad's listening, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Hope you're enjoying the podcast and your son playing because we are.
We love him. We love him.
So there's been 2 cup draws since we last recorded. So let's quickly get them out of the way. Or have we talked about Crew? We talked about Crew, haven't we?
Yes.
So we don't have to talk about the Pizza Trophy, which is pleasing for everybody. Although the FA Cup draw may well be worse, Mick. I've looked at the draw, and the only 2 teams I can think that would have been worse is Bournemouth and Brighton. Although Brighton's a Premier League ground, it's a good ground that we've not played at for a while. So maybe only Bournemouth was maybe the worst than QPR. Have you got anything above that, Mick?
Oh, there's loads that'd be worse than that, won't they? Portsmouth, Plymouth, Exeter, all that. But I mean,
I don't think
bearing in mind what was left in the pot when we got down to that stage, I think Arsenal was still in it. I think West Ham was still in it. And when we end up pulling out QPR, but it doesn't matter, does it? It's gonna. I mean, it has been said by a few people already that it could give us an indication as to where we are championship-wise. I know QPR are up there about 5th or 6th, I think. Although I watched them on Sunday against Forest and they were absolutely dire.
Played Stoke,
so it's a winnable game. It's definitely a winnable game. I missed that, Matt, because I was yabbing. What did you say?
They played Stoke, not Forest.
Well, Stoke and Forest. You know what I mean? I think they played.
Yeah, I know what you mean. They are. Well, I'm surprised seeing 5th. I didn't think they were that high up, to be honest with you.
They've had a very good start to the season.
We might be playing them at the right time.
Well, let's look. The level of football, the quality of football in the Championship is, as we know, not very good. People bang on about it being second best league in Europe and all that nonsense. I'm sorry, but that is absolute nonsense. Utter nonsense.
For unpredictability, it probably is.
Yeah, maybe it is. And maybe it's entertaining. But in terms of quality, it's not even close.
No. Yeah, no, it's not. The guy on Quest, Danny, also said that he thinks we're playing a mid-table championship level.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Let's see where we are.
Well, we did last season for a lot of it. Didn't help us, though, did it?
Yeah, COVID really suffers. Yeah. But it's nice to see that the QPR fans are as disappointed as we are, because they were like, "That's a boring draw." So it's like, that's a nothing game.
At least they're at home.
Yeah, and I think it's one of them games where if we're on our game, we'll win it. I think. But if we come in with the mentality of we're League One, they're up top end at Championship, we'll lose it. But if we go, it's a cup game, league form goes out the window, let's just have it. We could beat them 1 or 2-0 potentially.
We'll be able to wheel out the phrase that we were criticised for at some stage last season. I can't remember when it were. The free hit. Phrase.
Yeah.
It's a free hit. I'm going to start that now. I'm going to use it now. Right up until that game, it's a free hit. This one.
Who was the person who commented saying, when do you think we'll next lose a game in our unbeaten run?
Nandi. No,
Yeah,
Nandi.
there you go. Rest of the season without losing another game. Maybe QPR. maybe that might be the one blip potentially.
Yeah. Well, what we'll do is we'll get I've worked this out now. We're going to get a replay. It'll be 0-0, so it can be terrible for everybody who spent a fortune to get to London. We're then going to draw Man U at home in the draw, and then we'll lose really like a 1-0 loss at home in the replay, so we don't actually get a good tie. So that's how it's going to play.
I refer you back to Millwall against Northampton.
Yeah,
I think that was FA Cup, weren't it?
It's 2003. We got a 1-1 draw down at Northampton when we weren't there, and then we drew Manchester United at home. A young Cristiano Ronaldo, Manchester United, and all we had to do was beat Northampton, who were 2 leagues below us. Went 1-0 up, lost 3-1, I think.
That's all right.
Yeah, that was a bad night. That. Anyway, so yeah, that's roughly what I'm expecting. Something similar along that lines. We'll talk about the FA Cup games replayed. Ian Bradley mentioned this is a non-Rotherham topic. For later, do you think the TV people have misjudged the fans' views when choosing the TV games for the FA Cup?
Yes.
Yes, is a short answer. Mick, have you seen the FA Cup games?
I mean, that's a ridiculous suggestion from Ian. Why on earth? What on earth makes him think that the TV companies would disregard the wishes of supporters and views of supporters? It's just, I mean, it's ridiculous, Ian. What are you on about? At what point are they ever taken into consideration anything other than money? Whether it's the BBC, ITV, or Sky, they take no notice. All they're interested in is money, and if that means they don't have to travel out of London, happy days, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's just
I've no idea who's on there.
Kidderminster against Reading at Kidderminster. That's not on telly. That should be on telly. But instead, we get to watch West Ham against Leeds, who will be West Ham's B team against Leeds United's B team. Although Leeds are B teteam. Monday night, you've got Manchester United at home to Aston Villa.
I called that being on telly.
You did, yeah. It's Hull against Everton, even though it's Championship against Premier League. It's still a rubbish tie. It's not an exciting tie. I get Swindon at home to Man City is the one that I think is the right one. That should be on telly. I get that. But the rest of us, and we're not sitting here saying, no, we should be on telly. We should definitely not be on telly. But we have a vested interest in this competition. It's a bit of a joke, but it's so predictable.
Yeah.
Annoying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, Man United Villa on telly from FA Cup. That's embarrassing.
Unless it's a final or a semi-final.
Yeah, exactly. It's third round at FA Cup. You know, you've still got some League Two teams. Are there any? I don't think. Are there some non-league sides still in there?
Three.
Oh, aren't they?
Yeah.
Chesterfield.
Of course. Yeah. It's just whatever.
I think as a rule of thumb, I mean, this is wishful thinking, but a rule of thumb that the broadcasters should follow. If there's any teams from the National League still in the competition at the third round, they get first dub on telly. End of discussion. Then you've got your picket litter. If you still want to have your Premier League tie with the Premier League champions or whoever, then fair enough. For an all Premier League tie, fair enough. But there should be Friday, Sunday, Monday. Them three TV slots should have one non-league side in them if they get the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. But then there might be Kidderminster fans. I know the Kidderminster board won't be happy about it. Might be Kidderminster fans thinking it's at 3:00 on a Saturday afternoon. That's great news.
Yeah, that's true.
But then they lose out on that cash, which would sustain their club for however many more years. Look at Morecambe getting Spurs away. They might rake in £1 or £2 million from that. How long is that's going to sustain that club for that amount of time?
It's brilliant news for Morecambe. It's great news for Morecambe, and I'm genuinely really pleased for him. You know, I looked somewhere, I read somewhere a couple of years ago that Spurs match day income was in the region of £4 million.
That was before the new stadium.
That was before the new stadium. That was at the old White Hart Lane. So they will get 45% of the gate receipts from Morecambe. So that, like you say, it's going to be a couple of £1 million. It's going to sustain them for 3, 4, 5 seasons, maybe. Over and above what their normal income is. It's fantastic for them. But it's not on telly.
No, but again,
to give them a bit more out of it.
Yeah, true. Philip Rowlands have got. As we're talking about a Northampton game, apparently John Brecken says that Ken Booth was the chairman at the time, came into the changing room after the Northampton game and told the players, "Thanks for losing me £1 million," and walked out. That sounds about. I've never met Ken Booth, but that sounds about right.
Yeah,
I can believe that. Absolutely.
Briefly, I'm going to touch on it. The COVID restrictions that have been brought in. There's no announcement from our club. So what I've seen on BBC is that for football grounds over 10,000, there will be a version of COVID passports, whether that's lateral flow, negative test, or double vaccination. It's obviously not mandatory vaccinations yet. But this is where we are. We will probably not get 10,000 except for the Bolton game. So it's interesting to see how. I don't know if it goes on capacity or whether your games. There's still a lot of information to come out from it. The club haven't put out a statement as far as I've seen. So I suspect they're still trying to gather information. All I'll say is, and this is really obvious, this is not the club's decision. So anybody that gets there to the game and finds it frustrating and finds a invasion of privacy or whatever, just bear in mind this has not come from. Please don't take anything out on the club because they've not chose to do this. Email, send your letters to 10 Downing Street because they're the ones.
If they can take a break from having a rave to read them, that is.
Yeah, I imagine they're back to back with parties this time of year. To be fair, down there, so.
I mean, ultimately, I can't see it's workable in any environment that everybody will be checked. So I would have thought it's going to be a question of sort of dip sampling people, if you like. It'll be the odd one or two people that get asked. I would have thought. So I don't think there's let's not make a big deal out of it, shall we? Let's just get on with it.
I mean, it's not hard. It's one extra step on a match day. It's not exactly hard, is it?
No. I mean, come on.
It shouldn't be too much of an inconvenience. What I will say is it's taken 11 games to finally get a smooth entrance into the stadium.
So. That's probably what's happened. Somebody's probably wrote to Boris and said, "Now then, we can get into New York Stadium straight away now." And he's thought, "Stop that! No, you can't."
So I think that's all the other business. Let's talk about Burton. Burton Albion coming to town on Saturday afternoon. Historically, a tough team to play Burton. They are always being a solid team. Never lost to them League One. Only played them twice, but we've never lost to them. We've won both games. So that's a bit of history in our favour. They lost on Tuesday night, Mick, to Wickham 2-1 in the end. But like I said, they're inconsistent. But Jimmy Floyd-Asselbank and his guys are not going to make it easy for us.
No, they're not. Of course they're not. It's always a tough game against Burton. And my sort of memories of going to Burton have always been that when we've got there, it's been tough. It's been hard going. And we've not always won, obviously. That game that Warney took over in it would be a prime example. They're going to be tough to break down, but we're good enough. We are good enough. There's no question about that. There's nobody in this league that we need to be frightened of. Nobody. But we've got to be on top of our game, because if we're not, we will get punished, won't we? You know that.
Yeah, no, I agree. What are your thoughts, Danny? From it, they're solid. That's all we can say.
Yeah.
We sound like a stereotype. No, people get annoyed with us stereotyping Rotherham. That's what we're doing to Burton at the minute. But it's just they've always seemed to be like they've got a lot of the Accringtons about them. They seem fairly well run. They're a small club, probably punching above their weight. So they've got to work for everything. They've got to work for every pound, but they've got to work for every point they get on pitch as well. And that's seem fairly successful.
Yeah, and like you said, they are a little bit inconsistent. I mean, they lost 4 in a row, 1-2 in a row, and now they've just lost to Wickham. But yeah, like Mick says, I've only really seen Rotherham play Burton twice, and it was the last season in League One. The 1-0 win were an hard-fought one, and then the other game were a 3-2, which were another hard-fought one. Yeah. So they're no they're not really a pushover side, are they? And I think this game is probably more of a banana skin than Gillingham. And I mean, we all thought Gillingham were going to be a banana skin, and we battered them 5-1. And I think the game sort of fell into our favour a little bit. But with Burton, it won't be a 5-1 against Burton. It'll be a single goal, I think. Maybe a 1-0, maybe a 2-1. I'm not sure.
How many times have we said that this season?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we said that against Sunderland and Portsmouth, and look what happened. But no, I think Burton will be one of them sides where they will really be up for beating us. You know, they probably will be up for beating us more than anybody else, mainly because it is the magic 20 against Burton. We could make it 20 games unbeaten, which is matching Exeter's records, and then you've seen them drop off as well. Yeah. Every team that's been on an unbeaten run and had it ended by somebody has dropped off. You know, so but I think losing to Burton wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, because like we said, we know what Burton's like. They are a hard fighting team, but maybe Paul Warne wants to keep his streak going of he's lost to Burton as manager in the Championship, and then he's not lost in League One to him. So maybe he wants to keep that going. And bear in mind, he's just hit 5 years. It's just over 5 years since the Burton game, I think.
5 years just gone, was it? Or week before?
Yeah, so that's just gone. So maybe that adds a bit of fire to it. And if everybody's firing on all cylinders, we should win. But like we've said, Burton will want to beat us. They will set up to try and beat us. But we need to just keep our heads, stay calm about it, and we'll come through it. And if we hit 20, then happy days, you know.
if we're on our A game, if we turn up, they will not beat us. We will win. No question about that.
If we play like in the second half, we'll beat them.
And I'd say that of any team in this division, if we're on our A game, there is nobody that's going to beat us in this division. Nobody. So that's my view. I'll stick my neck out there. But we're not always on our A game, are we? That's why we're in League One, you know. So.
No, that's very true. Adak mentions, just think, 18th of August 2012, the day we moved to New York, a 3-0 victory against Burton. Ian Bradley remembers Burton beating us at New York in the Championship the other year around Christmas. That was the nail in the coffin of that season. I know we went down badly anyway. That was, if we'd have won that game, we'd have been with 3 points safety. We lost and ended up being miles behind. That was a killer game at the time. Again, in the infancy of Paul Warne's management. Nadendi, no way will it be 5-1 v Burton. It'll be 7-0.
Now that is ambitious, but potentially brilliant.
Yes. Lee McGarry again, listening to Bark in the pre-game interview. Sounds like we're preparing well for Burton. Yeah, we will. We certainly will. Chris Nichols thinks QPR is the next defeat. I'd take that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would.
Bazza, isn't it better for us if teams come and have a go at us with pace in our team? It's always better. This is what we always struggled against. This is why we struggled after the first goal. That's why we struggled against Gillingham, because they had just sat in, soaking it all up. The time wasting. We've the couple of teams we've played that time wasted. We struggled against Bromley first half, and Wickham obviously. It really doesn't suit us to play teams that sit back, but we've got to get over it. So if Burton come and sit in against us, we've got to, it's a puzzle, isn't it? They've got to find a way around it. But we don't know. We will soon find out about that one. Just to mention a couple of stats. One stat, and then we'll talk about the ref. Next appearance for Richard Woodall will be his 200th appearance for Rotherham United.
Oh, I hope he starts.
So hopefully he gets it on Saturday. It sounds like it's all clear. He's trained today on Thursday, so everything should be good to go for Woody to be ready. If he can get his place back. Question. And the referee, Sam Allison, is the man in the middle. As I tweeted out earlier, his last appearance in a Rotherham game was the 1-1 draw at home to Crewe this season, where he sent off Wes Harding and gave a late penalty. Both of the right decisions. And we all put someone on Twitter, I think, saying he had a good game. He was one of the better referees this season. So that bodes well, as long as Wes Harding don't make any stupid decisions again.
I think that would be the one reason to bring Woody back, just so Wes Harding don't do anything silly. You know, just bring him out, shift an Equay over, put Woody in middle, Give him his
To be-
200th appearance, and off we go.
To be fair to Wes, he's not a man that usually does out daft. He occasionally has a bit of a brain fart, but not usually to give away a penalty or anything. I think that's probably the first and only one he's given away while he's been with us, isn't it? I think. I don't know.
He's got no luck either, as well. On Tuesday night, the only good save that Chapman made all night was that shot from Wes Harding.
Yeah.
He's still waiting to score his first ever goal. So, just no luck, that kid at times.
He's an absolute unsung hero for me, Wes Harding.
We don't talk about him that much, mate, do we?
We don't talk about it enough.
Defense is.
I think it's just because he's so consistent.
Yeah.
But
don't forget.
I'm going to make a... Sorry, mate, carry on.
I was just going to say, don't forget, he's still playing out of position.
Yeah, very true. But yeah, I'm going to make a prediction, bit of an out there prediction. You know, when we play Sheff Wednesday at Hillsborough, we always seem to have more luck away than we do at home against them, don't we?
Yep.
We'll beat Wednesday 2-0, and the players on the score sheet will be Harding and KO'd.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
in 89th and 93rd minute.
Well, no, I reckon Harding will score early in second half. They'll try and blitz us. They won't score, and then KO will have his one unselfish moment, score in front of our away fans, and then just go nuts.
I hope so. Well, I hope he's got 7 by then. But that'd be beautiful. If it happens to be his first goal, we'd take that, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we'll... anything else? We've covered plenty. So we've not really covered the Burton game, but there isn't much to cover from it at the moment. Anything else you want to cover from that game or any other Rotherham-related topics?
Have you seen the article that the Mirror put out about how Rotherham can break our yo-yo cycle?
No. We're getting national recognition now.
I know. Like, this article that came out from the Mirror, it's like, how can Rotherham break it? And he basically just talks about Paul One's tenure and how we seem more up for it this season and potentially breaking it next season. But it tickled me because you could tell the writer has played Far Cry 3 because his opening line is insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting things to change. And it's like, hang on, that's a quote from Far Cry. And it's the opening line of the article and it proper tickled me. So if you haven't read it, go and read it on the IUFC hashtag on Twitter. It is a very good article, I will say, but the thing that tickled me was opening line. It's like the writer was a gamer before he was a journalist. You know, yeah, that's my little contribution.
Yeah, I don't like getting all this attention. Now Plymouth have dropped off. There's nobody else to talk about in League One, really, except us. I'm hoping Wigan win their game in hand and go top, and then we'll just float under them for a bit, and then we'll take them at end. As long as we don't win league, it doesn't matter, does it?
It's interesting, that game. You know, you look at that game last night. I didn't watch the game, obviously, but you look at how the game progressed, and sad as I am, I did look at some of the stats of the game. For different reasons, not because I'm a saddo, but and Wigan have got that in them to be at home to a team struggling down the bottom of the league, concede and really not be on top, you know, and we haven't got that in us, and I think that's the difference between us and all the other clubs in this division, you know. There's nobody, I don't think, that I can think of, and I'll stand corrected. I don't think anybody's come close to dominating us this season at all.
Fleetwood for that spell, but I blame us for that, really.
Yeah, well, yeah. With the exception of that game, probably.
Yeah.
You know, whereas Wigan seem to be permanently grinding out their results. Don't get me wrong, they're getting them, you know, so that's a good thing. But it seems to be a permanent grind for them. Whereas for us, it's not. We're cruised. So far, we've cruised to the position that we're in. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that that's going to happen for the rest of the season, but let's be fair, we have. Yeah,
and that's going to take less out of you if you're having to come back and grind every single game. That's mentally and physically tiring. And I don't know how big Wigan's squad is. You know, I know they've signed a lot of players, but is it that deep a squad really? And we know we've got a very deep squad. And we know we've made lots of changes. We're 20 games unbeaten, but none of those games will have probably had the same starting 11 every single game, if you know what I mean.
I wish we had. My fan would score a lot better if we did.
Yeah. There's only people that know Paul won't get 11 out of 11, I think. That's the guys that are getting it on that fan up.
One last thing before we sign off. I've just had a quick look, and Rotherham are the third highest scoring team in league football in England.
It was behind Fulham a bit. Fulham has got
Fulham are top with 50, and then it's Liverpool with 44. This is goals for, and then we're third with 39.
There you go. But then again, we're one of the top ones for conceding least, aren't we?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think we've got like a 25 goal difference or something stupid.
Yeah. Well, yeah, looking at Premier League, if you take out the top three, because they're considered 9, 12 and 9. But then we're not far behind that, are we? What we considered 14 or 15, something like that.
14, I think.
Yeah, 14. So we're only a couple behind them. It shows how good we are. We are good. Enjoy it while it lasts. Because we could lose
absolutely.
14 conceded in 20 games, that's not bad, is it?
No. Yeah, if you continue at that rate, continue at the same rate, we are going to go up. You're not going to concede that few amount of goals and not get promoted. It's just not going to happen.
Mm.
And again, we come back to this all the time. 4 of those goals were against Fleetwood, and we should have played better. So, yeah.
Yeah. So this XG chart, and it shows, I think it's potential goals for and against, just measured on a linear graph. And for us, it said just give them the league now. And for Doncaster, it just said rubbish. There's like slight violation, but yeah.
Yeah. We'll call it there. So thank you all for watching. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribed if you click the bottom right. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the bottom right thing on the bottom right. Click on it and you can subscribe that way. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, make sure you've liked the Facebook page and follow us on Twitter. Keep an eye on everything that's going on there. If you are listening on iTunes or Spotify, make sure you've subscribed and give us a 5-star rating if you can. We will be back on Sunday evening live through YouTube and Facebook, and then back up to the podcast audio on Monday. We've got a free week next week. No football middle of next week, which makes a change. We can all chill out for a bit. We won't be chilling out. We've got stuff planned. Busy for us.
We're working on some getting some other people on as well, aren't we? Just trying to break it up a bit.
Yeah, it's boring looking at us.
We've got a good one lined up, haven't we?
Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching. Danny, thank you. It's been a pleasure as always. And anybody that's not already watched it, go over and watch Danny's match day vlog because there were 5 goals. So.
Yeah, you get to see Victor have a celebration with me after each goal.
Exactly. And Rick, I know you might be old gate, but we like having you here.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We'll see you next week.
Merry Christmas. Yes.
Wear your Christmas hats. Last game before Christmas. All wear your Christmas hats on Saturday for football.
Okay.
Do it.
Yeah, that's an idea.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Freddie's on one-on-one. Freddie turning shoot. Can Freddie go shot? Unbelievable! Apologies to the neighbours.